Okay. Hello.
Hi.
It's Tuesday, so we're going to give our folks a kind of a tip of the day. We'll get right into it. And I think our tip for Tuesday is we're going to talk about. I had a couple different options, kind of going back and forth. What do people want to hear? So I ended up picking what sellers must do in the first 14 days. Their house is on the market. So are you
I like
game?
it. I like it. Yes.
All right.
Are you
So
gonna make me guess or are you gonna tell us?
no, I'm going to tell you. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's what
because
we're about.
I can guess,
We
but
don't no, we don't guess here. We tell it like it is. So so in the first 14 days, it's powerful because it's specific, it's tactical, it positions you as strategic, it creates urgency, um, and that's what we're about. There's two different models. There's kind of the traditional selling model, which has been done for decades and decades. And then there's kind of the OfferX model that I co-founded with my partner Dan Green. What's up? Hope you're watching. Um, and we'll kind of bring both of them in because it's sort of a new concept with OfferX, and um, it takes people by surprise a little bit, and they're a little hesitant, maybe a little resistant. And even if I sound like I'm stuffed up and stuff, I'm kind of getting over a
because you
cold.
are,
So yeah, yeah,
because you
that's why I
are.
got that's why I got my tea.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Ruben is a basketball official for CHASA here in Colorado, and he has made it all the way through the season. Last week of
One
the
more
season,
game.
got a cold.
Yeah. So all right. So let's talk about the first 14 days your home's on the market, and that basically determines everything. If you miss the window, you're chasing the market instead of leading it. So comment sell if you're thinking about selling in this coming year, so we can help you out with a good strategy. And why the first 14 days matter, let me explain some buyer psychology a little bit. Buyers watch for new listings. So every day, buyers are on Zillow or whatever website portal. They're searching for homes. Maybe it's their real estate agent that's sending them new listings, but they're watching for new listings. New listings get the most attention, and the excitement fades quickly because the algorithms start to push down your listing the more days it's on the market. So momentum is created immediately or not at all. Do you agree with that?
I do. I like to speak on from both points of view when we do these lives because I
Yes, you
am,
are very political.
well, no, I don't mean it that way. It's just I meet with as many buyers as I do sellers, and so it's hard to shift gears and look at it from different points of view. But, when I send listings to my clients, part of my strategy is if it is on the market more than 14 days, there's some work that can be done on price, terms. So I instantly think that as a real estate agent. And my buyers will instantly think there's something wrong with it. And we've talked about this a little bit before. If they don't see a property go immediately, then it is instantly there's something wrong with it. And it could be that there actually is something structurally or physically wrong with the property, or it could just be it has the wrong price and that's what's wrong with it. But either way, it is a bit of a red flag to see something go through 2 full weekends of showings and open houses and things like that, and it's still sitting there.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're going to try and keep this to 15 minutes or less. So we picked out 5 things that we figured were the most pressing to get across to you. So the 5 things seller must do is number one, price strategically, not optimistically. You don't want to test the market, and you enter the market with intention. So you've got the traditional way where you're going to list at what we think, you get with your real estate agent. You look at all the automated value models out there, the Zestimate and what realtor.com says your home's worth. And then you look at your tax assessment and you look at all these different valuations out there. And, you look at the comparable sales in the neighborhood and you come up with a price. That's their traditional model. The OfferX model is we take that value where we think market value is, and then we go 10% below market. So we want to set an artificially low price with the OfferX process. So that way we're getting a ton of activity. We want to get as many people through as possible. We want to create this massive buzz out there. This electric listing, the hottest new listing out there. We want it to be the most looked at property on the market. So you've got the traditional model. You just price it market value. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Then you got the OfferX model where we price 10% below that. So it becomes the hottest listing on the market. Anything you want to add there?
Nope.
Okay. Point number 2, be show ready immediately. Not this, we'll finish that little project later. Okay. First impressions matter. You never get a second chance for a first impression. Is that what the city is saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So presentation matters. If you got little projects around the house, we want to make sure that those are finished. We want to remove all the clutter. Our advice is if you're not using it every day, get it out, pack it up, stick it in the basement, stick it in the garage, stick it in the crawl space, whatever. Get it out of the way. You're kind of like the master staging person on our team. So what other advice do you have?
Yeah, the one thing that we talk about when we sit in a listing appointment and someone's getting ready to list their house is probably an unpopular opinion, but a lot of sellers are told to depersonalize your house, take all your pictures out, take all your, I typically don't tell our sellers to do that just because I want it to feel like someone lives there and I want it to feel homey and comfortable. So it's not always the best to just completely institutionalize your house where there's just nothing around. People want to feel welcomed and they want to feel comfortable in the house. And so, yes, I think decluttering is the major one that I would say. And that includes, countertops, sinks, hampers, clothes in the washer and dryer. All those things matter. But yeah, even if you don't have the newest furniture or the greatest you feel aesthetic in your house, decluttering will make any house look perfectly fine for sale.
What about smells? That's kind of unpopular and very uncomfortable to talk about.
It is very uncomfortable to talk about. I have been given the title of small but mighty in a lot of places, but even this topic is one that makes me very uncomfortable, but I'm not afraid to have it with people. And you just approach it in a very matter-of-fact way. Oh, by the way, do you guys have pets? I ask because there is a bit of a pet odor. Do you have any ideas on what we can do to kind of eliminate that in case people are allergic or, people just don't like the smell of pets? There's pets, there's smoke. Sometimes some of our clients even decide to cook their dinners like grill outside instead of cooking inside because, bacon, eggs, steak,
fried food,
all of that stuff can kind of leave that smell. So yeah, just we become odor blind in our house. I mean, I even ask people all the time, I'm like, does my house smell okay? Because you just get so used to it not. So I guess my point to this is if you're meeting with somebody and they do tell you that there's an odor that needs to be addressed, let's not take it personally. It has nothing to do with you personally. They're just coming from a place of, I just want this we need to have our best foot forward. And some people are very sensitive to odors. So yes, those should be addressed.
Yeah, because your showings are going to come through the front door. And if they come through the front door and they get a whiff of some odor, whatever that be, it could be a turnoff and then they can't focus on the good features of the house.
And it's not always also some people think, oh, you smell pet, I'm going to shampoo my carpets. Sometimes we don't recommend that because then it gets wet and releases more and it smells worse. So don't automatically go to, I'm going to clean my carpets, because that, honestly, I think one of the greatest ways to get the odor out of your home is to just give your walls a really good wipe down with whatever kind of cleaner you use. Walls, blinds, and all your countertops will really do wonders for any kind of odors that you might not be smelling in your home.
Yep. All right. So we got number 1, price strategically. Number 2, be show ready immediately. And then number 3 is be flexible with showings. You want to talk about that?
Yes.
Your favorite topic.
Why? Because this is my pet peeve. We have sellers who will be very excited. We have this great marketing plan and they're excited with the photos and they did the house and it's everything it needs to be. And then our first few showings come in and they're like, oh, I had to decline them. Showings in the first weekend, but especially the first 2 weeks, are like gold. And I encourage my sellers to basically be ready to just go out the door at any minute during those first 2 weeks, because 90% of the time, the people whose showing you rejected, they will not reschedule. They will not come back. They just go on to the next house. And so it is so important that you are prepared to have to leave your home several times during the first couple of weeks, because once you start turning down those showings, we're just not going to get them back. And then we're behind the ball.
Yep. I agree. So, and then that's the traditional model, is kind of having showings at, early in the morning, late at night. I know it's dinner time and kids and all that stuff, pets, all those things get in the way, but it's super important the first 2 weeks to approve those showings right away and try not to reschedule if you can. So, like you said, they're gold. So with the OfferX model, just to kind of bring that in a little bit, that's why we only have an offer window of 2 weeks, because we want to get as many showings through as possible during the week, and especially during the open houses that we do on the weekends. So that way, with the open houses, we try to minimize some of those showings during the week, because we know how intrusive and stressful that can be. So if the agents know that there's going to be an open house on the weekend, sometimes they'll just wait for that open house rather than trying to disturb you during the week. So, and if they know that the offer window is good for 2 weeks, they're not so urgent to try to get in there during the week, and they'll hold off or just send their buyers to us. We've had agents that we've been doing this a long time, where they're like, hey, Ruben, hey, Tiana, I got a soccer game I got to go to, but my buyers want to come through your open house. Is that cool? And we're like, absolutely. We'll answer their questions, show them around, whatever you need, and then they can get back to their agent after they're done. So there's some options there. All right. So price strategically, be show ready immediately, be flexible with showings. And then number 4 is watch the feedback closely, right? The market's going to talk to us right away, guys. So in the first week, if we're not getting showings, 3 to 5 showings in the first week, we're getting nervous, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I hope we have some people through the open house. And then that second week, if we're not averaging a showing a day, we might be out of bounds, guys, as far as price goes. So
that's another uncomfortable piece of this process. When you do get feedback on your home, I know I would. So I totally get where you're coming from, but it's hard to not take it personally. When someone points out all the things that they did not like about your home. And so my number 1 piece of advice for our sellers when they are listing is, this is not your home anymore. You've made the decision to move on. So you can't look at it through the eyes of, this is still my home, I still live here. You need to disconnect yourself from that and say, okay, I'm moving on to something else. This is no longer my home. So I don't need to take it personally, because I will not be living here anymore. And everything they don't like about it, it doesn't matter, because I'm taking it with me. If they don't like my furniture or whatever, that's coming with me. So it can be kind of uncomfortable to get some feedback. But again, that uncomfortable feedback, great feedback, it's all useful feedback, and it's all important.
And no feedback is feedback.
Yes.
So we attempt to get feedback, texting agents, calling agents, emailing agents. They get reminders every day until they provide feedback, but sometimes they just don't provide any feedback for whatever reason. And what they're saying is their buyer is rejecting your property, whether for whatever reason. Could be condition, could be location, could be price. But that is feedback, even though you're not getting any. So especially if they're not writing an offer, that's feedback enough where it's like, hey, we know you're not interested for whatever reason. So no feedback is feedback, guys. And then the last point, number 5, is be ready to adjust. So speed wins in this market. The faster you can make adjustments, the better. So with that feedback, you want to make those adjustments quickly. If they're saying, we like the house, but it needs carpet, or it needs paint, or whatever it is. It basically comes down to 3 things: location, condition, and price. So you can't do anything about the location, guys. You can't pick up your house and move it somewhere else. But you can do something about the condition. You can do something about the price. You can change that carpet. You can paint that room. You can make small repairs, things like that. But those are all things you probably should have done in the beginning. But if you have to adjust, in the first 2 weeks, you should do it then, instead of waiting 30, 60, 90 days to do those things, because you're wasting precious market time. And with the OfferX model, that's why we do a lot of prep up front to make sure, because we know we have a go live date on a Thursday usually, and we've got that 2-week offer window, and we know that we're building up this momentum, all the coming soon marketing, things like that. We want to make sure that it's in its best condition. It's show home ready. We're flexible with showings. We've got open houses lined up, and we're creating that urgency and buzz that the OfferX model provides. So and then in the OfferX model, we're not really making much adjustments because we already know what to expect. So there's very, very little adjustments that we have to make, because first of all, we're probably the lowest priced home on the market. We're the best position property because we look the best. So we're essentially the hottest listing on the market at that point. So we have all the leverage versus the buyers telling us, in the traditional model, that they have all the leverage and you're going to have to paint this room or fix this thing before we even put an offer in. But with the OfferX model, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 offers coming in that 14 days, and that turns the tables a little bit and puts sellers. The seller has all the leverage at that point. So anything you want to add?
Yeah, I will say I'm going to assume that if you're getting ready to sell your home and you're watching this, you're probably going to be interviewing multiple agents, which I think is great. It's kind of like, don't go with the lowest bidder on like remodels and things. I would caution on the other side, when you are interviewing agents, if an agent will just accept your number, whatever that number is that you would like to list your property at, and say, sure, we'll give it a try, I would caution you on that. Look for an agent who's going to challenge you a little bit on what you think it's worth versus what they think it's worth, and have them back that up with some data or experience or whatever, because you're just setting yourself up for multiple frustrating conversations, because it's just going to be every 2 weeks, you're going to be getting a phone call with the agent asking you for a price reduction. And you're going to be chasing the market like we talked about a few days ago. So don't always go with the person who says they can get you the most money and makes that promise. Go with the person who has the data to back up a value, and maybe it is your value, and that's great. But if you have an agent that comes in and challenges you on that, don't take that personally. And I would definitely see that as a positive, because they're fighting for what they think it's worth and the most likely price that will get you to the closing table.
Good point. Good stuff. All right. Well, I know Aurora has asked us if we have a digital resource.
We do have a digital resource. If you want to comment ready in the comments, we can get that out to you, so you can kind of see all of the pointers that we provide our clients when we help them prepare their home for sale.
All right. And if you want one of these cups, comment cup.
Those have been voted our most liked cups because of the red inside, which was my personal favorite. But yes, we have cups still if anybody wants them.
Yep. Comment cup. We'll get a cup out to you. So, all right, guys, that's it for now. Happy Tuesday. See you tomorrow.
Bye.